everyone, welcome to Mrunal's math tutorial, and in today's tutorial we are looking at Cambridge IGCSE 0580 Feb March 2025 exam. In this tutorial I'll be covering all the questions, and also we'll be giving you some helpful tips and tricks which will help your revision. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so that you do not miss out on my updates. Thank you. So we are solving 0580 paper 4-2 Feb March 2025. Let's look at the first question. We need to write down a factor of 28 that is a prime number. Again, what are prime numbers? Prime numbers are numbers that are divisible by 1 in itself. So 2, 3, 5, 7, 11 and so on are the prime numbers. We need to write down a factor of 28 that is a prime number. So 28 comes in times table of 2. So 2 times 14 gives me 28. 7 times 4 is also 28. So 2 and 7 both are prime numbers. So the correct answer for this question would be 2 or 7. You need to give only one answer. Question 2 is simplify. So we need to simplify the expression over here. So combine the like terms. So here 4y square and minus y square like terms. So this is going to be 3y square plus 5y. Question 3. Shade 2 more squares to make the pattern with 2 lines of symmetry. That means we have to shade 2 squares here such that this pattern will have 2 lines of symmetry. So the lines of symmetry over here could be like that, or it could be like that, or it could be diagonal. So if I'm thinking about the diagonal line of symmetry, if I shade this square, then the pattern would be symmetrical, right? Also, if I shade this square, the pattern would be symmetrical. So the correct answer for this question would be to shade first square here, and then you can shade the second square over here, so that we have 2 lines of symmetry. Question 4. Calculate 20.24 minus cube root of 30 divided by 6.5. Give your answer correct to one decimal place. So over here you just pop in this expression in your calculator. If you do that, you would get 2.6358. Now you need to round it off to one decimal place. That would be 2.6 approximately, right? Let's move on to the next page. Question 5. A pattern is formed by 3 congruent rectangles. Each rectangle is a rotation of 90 degrees around one vertex of rectangle next to it. The point A has coordinates 2, 5. Point B has coordinates 4, 1.5. Work out the coordinates of points C and D. So when we think about the coordinates of a point, when x is equal to 2, that means we are saying that this is x equal to 2. And y equal to 5, that means the horizontal line, this y is equal to 5, will be true for every point over here, right? So I could say that over here for this point also y would be 5. And what about the x for this point? The x for this point would be equal to 4, because over here we are having 4. So if I label the point over here, it's going to be 4, the y coordinate, which is 5. Alright, so now we need to think about what is this length. This length is the difference between the x coordinates, which is equal to 5, right? And then we need to think about what is this length of the rectangle. So we could say that the width is 2 and the length of the rectangle, how much would be the length of the rectangle? It would be the difference between the y coordinates, which is going to be 5 minus 1.5, which is equal to 3.5. So we now know that the length of the rectangle is 3.5 and the width is 2. So now this entire rectangle is being rotated. So we can say that this length is also 3.5, right? And this width is 2. So if this length is 3.5, if I add 4 plus 3.5, the coordinates of this point are going to be 7.5, comma 5, right? Then if we think about the coordinates of C, they are going to be, the x coordinate is going to be the same. Yeah, so it is going to be 7.5. What about the y coordinate? The y coordinate is going to be 2 less than 5. So 5 minus 2 is going to be equal to 3. So let's move on and think about what are the coordinates for D. So again, we apply the same logic. So this is going to be 2 and this length or the width is going to be 3.5. Yeah. So if the x coordinate is 7.5, then what would be the x coordinate for D? It's going to be 7.5 plus 2, which is 9.5, and the y coordinate, we are moving up, so 3 plus 3.5 is going to be 6.5. So now we know the coordinates of C and D. They are 7.5, comma 3 and 9.5, comma 6.5. Question 6. Each week, Nisha is paid $12 per hour for the first 40 hours she works, and she is paid 30% more per hour for any extra hours that she works. 1 week, Nisha works for 45.5 hours. Calculate how much she is paid that week. So we know that she is paid $12 for the first 40 hours, and for every hour that she works extra, she is paid 30% more. So 30% of what? 30% of 12. So 12 times 30% more means whenever we increase the percentage, we add 30 plus 100. That gives me 130%, which in decimal is going to be 1.30. And how many hours does she work extra? It's going to be 5.5 hours because she works first 40 hours, and then the remaining would be 45.5 minus 40, because in that week she worked for 45.5 hours. So 5.5 hours she is going to work extra. Pop this in your calculator. This will work out to 480 plus 85.8. So the final answer would be 565.8. All right. Let's look at the next question. Question number 7. The table shows the age and the mass of each of 10 babies. The age is given in weeks and the mass is given in kilograms. Now, part A is asking us to complete the scatter diagram. The first 6 points have been plotted for you. So we need to complete the rest. So these have been plotted for you. So you need to continue plotting the rest. So let's just plot those. So we have the first age is 9. So for 9 it is 4.6. I'm just going to magnify a little bit. For 9 it is 4.6. That's going to be here. For 7 it is 4.5. For 7 it is 4.5. 1 is 2.5. 1 is 2.5. So it's going to be over here. Then we have 11 is 5.3. 11 is 5.3. And I'm done plotting all the points, right? So if you look at the graph, what type of correlation is it showing you? How do we identify that? So if it's going upward or it has got a forward trend, we would say that it has a positive correlation over here. So part B, answer for part B would be positive correlation. Part C, on the scatter diagram, draw a line of best fit. So to draw a line of best fit, the simple rule is the line should be such that 50% of the points should be above the line and 50% should be below the line. Some points may pass through the line. So if I drew my line of best fit over here like this, if I count, I'm having 2, 3, 4, 5 lines here. 5 points here and 1, 2, 3, 4 points here. So it is a pretty good line of best fit. It is acceptable. Use your line of best fit to find an estimate of mass of a 14-week-old baby. So we go to 14, so we are here and then we look across. Yeah, you have to make use of a ruler. So go to 14 and look across and identify what is the mass of the child. So we are looking at the mass of the child or a baby whose age is 14 weeks. So this turns out to be 6.5. Yeah, 6.5, 6.6 is all accepted. It depends upon your line of best fit. Let's move on to the next question. The scale drawing shows positions of both A and B. A scale of 1 centimeter represents 0.5 kilometer. Find the actual distance between both A and B. So for this question, you'll have to join A and B with a ruler and pencil and measure it with a ruler. So over here, I've made use of a ruler. Again, remember, this is a photocopy of the actual exam, so this is not going to be very accurate. But in the exam, you'll just follow the method, measure, and then convert it into kilometers. So we have our units over here, or the scale over here. 1 centimeter is equal to 0.5 kilometers. So 4 centimeter would be 4 multiplied by 0.5, which is 2 kilometers. The lighthouse L lies to the east of both A and B. L is 4.4 kilometers from both A and 3.3 kilometers from both B. Use a ruler and a compass to construct and label the position of L. So you would use your ruler and compass, and then from A, you're going to then draw an arc like that, and from B, you draw another arc. So what would be the length of these arcs? The length of these arcs would be from A, it is going to be 4.4 kilometers. So you put your compass at point A over here, and then you will cut an arc of 4.4. So let's say this is an arc of 4.4. This is a rough sketch. This is 4.4 kilometers. So that means it's going to be, you need to convert it into centimeters. So 1 centimeter is 0.5 kilometer. That means 4.4 kilometers is going to be how many centimeters? You will have to work that out. Yeah, so it's going to be 4.4 divided by 0.5. Division by half is same as multiplication by 2. So that's going to be 8.8 centimeters. 8.8 centimeters. So you could work that out on your calculator. 4.4 divided by 0.5 will give you 8.8 centimeters. Likewise, 3.3 kilometers, you'll cut another arc from 3.3 kilometers, which is going to be 6.6 centimeters. All right, it will look somewhat like this. Remember, this is not accurate on my iPad. Question 9. Write 0.00709 in standard form. So we need to move 3 decimal places to the right. So 7.09 times 10 to the power of negative 3. Because it is in decimal, the power of 10 would be negative. 4 times 10 to the power of 4 to the power of 2. That means 4 to the power of 2, 10 to the power of 4 times 2. That gives you 16 times 10 to the power of 8. To write it in standard form, it would be 1.6 times 10 to the power of 9. Many students, they get confused. Should I write 1.6 times 10 to the power of 8 or 10 to the power of 9? So for simple reason for that is you need to divide by 10 because you want 1.6. Yeah. So if you divide by 10, you should also multiply by 10 to cancel that out. So it means that 16 divided by 10 is going to give me 1.6, and 10 to the power of 1 times 10 to the power of 8 gives me 10 to the power of 9. That was question number 9. Let's move on to question 10. Question 10 is about transformation of graphs. Draw an image of triangle A after reflection in line y equal to 1. So you must identify where is the line y equal to 1. If you draw that line, you may get some method marks over here. This has to be a dotted line. So make sure that you draw a dotted line. So this is the line y equal to 1. Now we need to reflect the triangle A across the line y equal to 1. So you need to identify the distance of triangle A from the line. So we can see that this point is 1 unit away. So again, from the mirror line, you will make a point over here. Likewise, if you notice, each point is how far from the mirror line. So it's going to be over here, the next point. Yeah. Connect it with a ruler. And the last one is 1, 2, 3, 4 units away from the mirror. So go 4 units away from the mirror. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to be over here, which is 3, negative 3. 3, negative 3. Connect and draw your sketch with the ruler. So that is the reflection of triangle A. Triangle A after translation by the vector negative 6, 1. So what does that mean? It means that you move to the left in x direction and you move up in y direction. The minus indicates you move to the left 6 units and you move up 1 unit. So from triangle A, let's move 6 units to the left. So we're going to reach 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units to the left, and we need to move then 1 unit up. So 3 and 3, 6, and then 1 unit up. So I'm going to reach over here. This point is negative 3, 6. Over here, negative 3, 6. Yeah. And do the same thing with the other points. 6 units to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 1 unit up. So it's going to be negative 5, 4 over here. And the same thing with the last point. 2, 4, 6, 1 unit up. So it's going to be over here. Connect it with a ruler. Alright, so that is translation. So part B describe fully the single transformation that maps triangle A onto triangle B. So if you look at triangle A onto triangle B, you can see that this has been rotated, and I think that it is rotation by 90 degrees. So we need to find what would be the center of rotation. So if you try to take a guess, the center of rotation would be 3, negative 1, and this is rotation anti-clockwise. The best way to find the center of rotation would be to use a tracing paper. So make sure that you use your tracing paper. It is provided to you in the exam. So rotation 90 degrees anti-clockwise. and the center is 3, -1. Alright, before moving to the next question, make sure if you haven't subscribed my channel, please go ahead and click that subscribe button because it motivates me and helps me to create more videos which will be helpful for you. Thank you. Let's move on. Question 11. Mitchell invests $1,500 at the rate of 4.2% per year compound interest. We need to calculate the value of the investment at the end of 5 years. So clearly we have to use the compound interest formula. So amount is equal to principal 1 plus r over 100 to the power of n. P is how much you invest. So you've invested 1,500. 1 plus the rate of investment is 4.2 divided by 100 to the power of n, which is 5. So just you have to input this in your calculator. 1,842.594. So you may want to write it as 594. Then remember that currency would be rounded off to 2 decimal places. Hitanshi invests some money at a rate of X% per year compound interest. At the end of 11 years, the value of investment is doubled. Calculate the value of X. So we don't know how much she is investing. So let us assume that she invested $1 and the value of investment becomes double, so it becomes $2 times 1 plus the rate which we don't know, let's say X over 100 to the power of 11. So why did I choose 1 and 2? Okay, I chose 1 because it's easy, so it gets doubled, so it becomes 2 then. So let's calculate this. So this is going to be 2 equal to 1 plus X over 100 to the power of 11. So I got to take the 11th root of this. 11th root of 2 is equal to 1 plus X over 100. Move it to the other side. So 11th root of 2 minus 1 is X over 100. If I work out what is the 11th root of 2 minus 1, so on your calculators you have to take 11th root. Let me see. I can see only the cube root on my calculator. Okay, found it. 11th root of 2 minus 1 gives me 0.06504, and if I multiply this by 100 to calculate X, I get 6.50. So that's going to be 6.50, or you may leave it as 6.5. Question 12. A cone has a sloping edge of 12 and a base radius of 5. Work out the total surface area. So if you look at the cone, the sloping edge is the one which is over here. This is 12 and the base radius is 5 centimeters. We need to calculate the total surface area. So we have the curved surface area of the cone. The curved area is pi RL. Okay, so what is the curved area? Exactly as the name suggests, the area around the cone. So this part is pi RL and we have the base which is pi r square. So can we say that surface area is going to be pi RL plus pi r square? Yeah. So clearly we didn't need the height. So pi times the radius, which is 5, times the slant height 12 plus pi times the radius square. Work this out on your calculator. 85 pi. Remember, this is calculator paper. You need to write what is the decimal correct to three significant figures. So 670 to 67.0. So I'll write it as 200. So we have been given over here first term, second term, third term, and so on. We need to find what is the nth term. So try to look at what is the pattern. The pattern looks like, is it plus 7? So 12 minus 5 is 7. 31 minus 12 is 19. So clear 12, 31, 68, 129. That is 7. That is 19. 68 minus 31 gives me 37. 129 minus 68 gives me 61. That difference, 19 minus 7, gives me 12. 37 minus 19 gives me 18. Okay, looks like it's cubic. 61 minus 37 gives me 24. And now that is 18 minus 12, which is 6. 24 minus 18 is also 6. So that is a cubic sequence. So if it is a cubic sequence, you need to memorize the formulas for cubic sequence. What are the formulas for cubic sequences? The third differences. This is the third difference. This is the second difference. And this is the second difference. This is the first difference. What we are interested is only in these values, which is this one, these values. Yeah. So the third difference is given as 6a is equal to the third difference. So 6a is equal to 6 in this case. Then we have 12a plus 2b is equal to 12. 7a plus 3b plus c is equal to 7. And a plus b plus c plus d is equal to 5. So if 6a is equal to 1, that gives me a is 1. Substituting in the second equation gives me 12 plus 2b is equal to 12. That means the 12 and 12 cancels. So 2b is equal to 0 or b is equal to 0. Substituting a and b gives me 7 plus c equal to 7. So c is also 0. And substituting a, b, c gives me d is equal to 4. So this is going to be n cube plus 4. N cube plus 4. Remember, for cubic, an cube plus bn square plus cn plus d. Many of you may be able to guess it straight away if you know you're working very well. If you identify this as cubic, it's going to be very easy. You will not have these terms, yeah? So it's going to be very easy. So you just think maybe 1 cube, 2 cube, 3 cube, 4 cube, like that. Yeah? Now, over here, the next one, we can see that the denominators are increasing by 1, but they're starting with 3. Numerators are decreasing by 1, but they're starting with 10. So in this case, you got to think, okay, in terms of n, what is happening to the denominator and what is happening to the numerator, right? So
if you think what's happening to the denominator and numerator, you will realize that the denominator is, if let's say if we start from n, when n is 1, how do I get 3? If n is 1, I need to add 2. Does it work for the next term? Let us see. So let me just write down the denominator, n plus 2. So 1 plus 2 gives me 3. 2 plus 2 gives me 4, and so on. So it does work. And in the numerator, it's just reducing by 1. It starts at 10. So can I just simply think of it as 11 minus n, n being 1, 2, 3. So 11 minus 1 gives me 10, 11 minus 2 gives me 9, and so on. It's pretty easy. Over here, what's happening? We can see that all these values are being multiplied by 2. Yeah? So the common ratio is 2. Right? So if the common ratio is 2, this is going to be 2 to the power of, if I do n, it's going to be just 2. When n is equal to 1, I want 4. So let's say n plus 1. Does it work? Let's check. I realize that that is 2 to the power because I can see that it's multiplied by 2 and starting by 4. So it's 4 times 2 to get the next term. So 4 times 2 could also be written as 2 to the power of 3, and so on. Yeah? So I thought of writing it as if n plus 1, because if n is 0, I'm going to get 2, but if n is 1, I'm going to get 1 plus 1, which is 2, 2 squared, which is 4. I think it works for the rest.
If you haven't subscribed my channel yet, please hit the subscribe button. To 5 minus 4x, and we need to work out what is the value of f of minus 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to simply substitute in place of x negative 3. So this works out to be 5 plus 12, which is 17. Now we need to work out the value of f of 3 minus 2x. It means that in place of x, I'm going to substitute now 3 minus 2x. So it's going to be 5 minus 4 times 3 minus 2x. So that gives me, I expand with negative 4. So negative 12 plus 8x. Combining the like terms gives me negative 7 plus 8x. Or you can write 8x minus 7. It's the same thing. Now we need to find the inverse of f. So we have y equal to 5 minus 4x. You can change x and y. Change x and y. So that gives me x equal to 5 minus 4y. Now we solve for y, or make y the subject. Make y the subject. So that gives me 4y equal to, I'm just moving the 4y to the other side because it's negative. It's just easier. Dividing by 4 gives me 5 minus x divided by 4. That is your f inverse. Question 15. Virat records the heights of each of 80 sunflowers. The results are shown in the table below. We need to calculate the mean height. So to calculate the mean height, I would need the midpoint. So how do we calculate the midpoint? I'm going to show one calculation in detail so that you can refresh your memory. You add the two ends and divide it by 2, right? So that gives me 1.2 plus 1.5 divided by 2 gives me 1.35. Likewise, I'm going to calculate each of the midpoints. So I'm just going to write it on top here. The midpoints are going to be 1.35, and then next I add 1.5 plus 1.6 divided by 2, that gives me 1.55. Next we do 1.6 plus 1.7 divided by 2, that gives me 1.65. And then we have 1.7 plus 1.9 divided by 2, that gives me 1.8. And then we calculate the mean. Mean is just going to be the sum of these, so multiply the midpoint with the frequency and add midpoint with frequency and keep adding. And you add all of the frequencies as well. So that gives me, you add all these frequencies, which is 12 plus 20 plus 34 plus 14, that gives me 80. Okay, if you did not add that, you can also get the answer from here, which is 80. So divide by 80. Now use your calculators to work out the answer. This gives me 1.60625. You do not round any of it. Write down everything you see on the calculator. Yeah, never round the mean. Now we need to draw a histogram using the table above. So we need the frequency density on the left. Remember, frequency density is frequency divided by class width. So what I'm going to do over here is I am going to calculate the frequency density. It's frequency divided by class width. So what is class width? I'm just going to explain that quickly over here. So class width is the width of this interval. So it's going to be 1.5 minus 1.2, which is 0.3. Yeah. So for the first one, I'll write all the steps. So 12 divided by 0.3, that is going to be 40. Then we have 20 divided by 1.6 minus 1.5 is 0.1. So that gives me 200. 34 divided by 0.1, 340. 14 divided by 0.2, that gives me 70. Right? So we have the frequency densities, and now we need to graph. So from 1.2 to 1.5 is going to be 40. So 1.2 to 1.5. So this length, all of this is going to be 40. So let us try and draw this. So I think it's steps of 10. 1 squared is equal to 10. So 40 is going to be over here. Then we have 1.5 to 1.6 is 200. Then 1.6 to 1.7 is 340. (1.7) to 1.9 is 70. 1.7 to 1.9 is 70. So I think it would be over here. It's a good idea in the exam to just shade this, because remember, your exams are going to be scanned and then they will be marked. So if the pencil is light or this is not visible, you would not get any marks. So it would be really unfortunate that you do everything correct and it's not visible. So it's a good idea to shade it so that it's clearly visible that you have provided an answer. All right, let's look at question number 16. So we have Over here, the graph shows the speed of cyclist during a journey of 30 seconds, right? So write down the acceleration of cyclist between 15 and 25 seconds. So we need to work out between 15 and 25 seconds. So we are looking at this part of the graph. What is the acceleration? Now you can see that it's a horizontal line. So if it is a horizontal line, what does it tell about the gradient of the line? What is the gradient of the horizontal line? It is going to be 0. That means the acceleration is going to be 0 meters per second square. By drawing a tangent, find an estimate for acceleration of the cyclist at 7.5 seconds. So 7.5 seconds is going to be over here, and I need to draw a tangent. So I'll be using a ruler to draw this tangent. So the tangent should be such that there should be no daylight between the point and the line. But now here what I have drawn, I just zoom in. This is not correct because as you can see that it is touching at several places. Yeah. So my tangent should just touch at 7.5. Yeah. So I have to kind of do a light line so that I get it correct. So I'm just going to slant it a little bit. Now you see that I'm magnifying it so that you can see that it's touching exactly at one point. Yeah. Once I have that, I'm going to choose any 2 points on the line. It doesn't have to be 7.5. It could be one of the points, but you can choose any 2 points that are on the line and they are easy to read. So I'm going to choose this one, and I would choose probably this one. Yeah. And I will work out the gradient. It's required for you to show that these are the 2 points that you chose. Okay. So now the first point that I chose is going to be 2.5, 3.5. X is 3.5 and this is 3.5. And the Y is going to be 5.8. And the second point which I chose, the X is 10 and the Y is 7.8. And now I'm going to work out what is the gradient for this. So the gradient is going to be y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So let us work this out. So going to be 4 over 13, which is approximately 0.308 if I round it off. This is so you might have slightly different answer based upon your gradient, but it's going to be within a given range. Yeah, what is important over here is to show that you have drawn a triangle there, right? Now we need to work out the average speed of the cyclist between 15 to 30 seconds, so over the entire period. So we would need the average speed is total distance over total time. So we know the total time is going to be 30. So we want it from 15 to 30. So this is the part that we are interested in. So the total time is 15 minus 30, which is 15. Yeah. So basically we need the area from this part. Yeah. If we calculate the area of this part, so let us calculate the area of trapezium there. You can divide it into triangle and a rectangle, but area of trapezium is much easier. So I know that here it is 15 and here it is 25. So this length is going to be then 10. So 10 plus 15 divide by 2 times by the height, which is 8. So the area of trapezium, then if you work it out, it turns out to be equal to 100, and this is nothing but the total distance that you have calculated so far. So I can write that this is the total distance, which is equal to 100, right? So we have calculated total distance, and we know the total time. The total time that we are interested in is, so the total time that we are interested in is 15 seconds. So the average speed is going to be equal to whatever you have calculated, 100 divided by 15 seconds. 15 seconds, and this works out to be 6.67, correct to 3 significant figures. Question 17. The diagram shows 3 points A, B and C on the horizontal ground. The bearing of C from A is 145, so we are looking at bearing of C from A. So this bearing is going to be 145 degrees, and angle ACB, which is this angle that is marked, is 38 degrees. AC is equal to 65 meters, so it's given to you that AC is 65 and BC is 95 meters. We need to work out the bearing of B from C. So first of all, let us draw a north at C. So we are interested in working out the bearing of B from C. So from the north of C, we are interested in this bearing. So if I can calculate this angle, yeah, I would be able to work out the bearing easily. So this is 145, which has been given to you. Now, if you look at these two angles, because of these two norths, these are two parallel lines, and these two angles are going to be then co-interior angles. Co-interior angles add up to 180. So angle ACN is going to be 180 minus 145, which works out to be 35 degrees. Hence, to calculate the bearing, it is going to be, we know that this is 35 now. So 360 degrees minus 38 plus 35. Put this in your calculator. The bearing works out to be 287 degrees. Bearings are 3-digit measured from the north. Remember that if, let's say, if your answer was 35, you must write it as 035. Yeah, that would be the bearing. Part B, show that AB is equal to 59.3 meters, correct to 1 decimal place. So we need to calculate the length, or show the length that is equal to 59.3. So we are interested in this side, and what do we have? We have a triangle with 3 sides. One side is missing, 2 sides are given, and 1 angle. So this is cosine rule. So we're going to make use of the cosine rule. So the cosine rule is very easy. Let's say the one which we need to calculate is C. So C square is equal to A square plus B square minus 2AB cos of C. So I labeled this as C because it's opposite to the angle C, right? The other two would be A and B. So this is going to be A and this is going to be B. How do I use the formula? The formula, the missing side, whatever is the missing side, should have the same angle opposite to it. The angle would be over here, which is opposite to the missing side. So let us input the values. So it's going to be 95 square plus 65 square minus 2 times 95 times 65 times cos of 38 degrees. Put that in your calculator and work out the square root. So square root of this gives me 3518.067193, which is 59.313. After rounding to 1 decimal place is 59.3. Part C, angle BAC is obtuse. Work out the bearing of B from A. So angle BAC, let us identify which one is that. The angle BAC is this one, and it's given to us that it is obtuse. So this information is very important, because if you calculate and you get an angle which is acute angle, then you should find the obtuse angle. How do we find that? That's what we're going to see now. So to calculate this angle, I'm going to make use of sine rule, because I want to calculate this angle. I have the opposite side and I have this angle, and I just calculated this as 59.3. So I'm going to make use of sine rule. So let me call this as angle X. Yeah. So angle X would be then using sine rule. Sine X over 95 degrees is equal to sine 38 degrees. Apologies, 95 meters, not degrees, 95 meters divided by 59.3 meters. Cross multiply, that gives me sine x equal to sine 38 times 95 divided by 59.3. So x is going to be sine inverse of sine 38 times 95 divided by 59.3. This works out to be 80.506. Remember, the angle is obtuse. So the obtuse angle is going to be then 180 degrees minus 80.506, which works out to be 99.494. Hence, the bearing of B from A is going to be all of this. So we add 145 plus the angle that you calculated. So this is going to be bearing 145 plus 99 point, I would round it off to one decimal place. So this works out to be 244.5 degrees. Question number 18, factorize. So we have 18a square minus 98. So think about 18 and 98. They come in which times table? The easiest would be 2. Let's put 2 outside. So we get 9a square minus 49. Whenever we have two terms, we should think about taking a common factor. Now I know that 9 and 49 doesn't have any common factor. Then the second step would be thinking about difference of squares. A square minus b square is a minus b times a plus b. So in our case, it's going to be 3a bracket square minus 7 square, because 3a bracket square is going to be 9a square and 7 square is going to be 49. So the answer would be then 2 times 3a minus 7, 3a plus 7. Remember, if you leave it here, you're going to just score 1 mark. Full factorization would be this. Part B, expand. So when we have 3 brackets, you can either expand the first 2 and then multiply the answer to the third one. So that's what I'm going to do now. So if I expand over here, I get 2x square minus x plus 8x minus 4. Keep writing x minus 2. Combine the like terms, the middle two terms. So that's going to be 7x. Now I multiply by each of these terms. I would going to be multiplying by x over here. So this gives me 2x cubed plus 7x square minus 4x. And then now I'm going to multiply by negative 2. Remember, it's a negative 2. So be careful with the signs. So this gives me negative 4x square, negative 14x, positive 8. Let's combine the like term. So this comes out to be 2x cubed plus 3x square minus 18x plus 8. That would be your final answer. 2x cubed plus 3x square minus 18x plus 8. Solve the equation 2 plus 5 cos x equal to 0. So we need to solve for x, and the domain of x is 0 to 360 degrees. What is the meaning of domain of x? It means that the possible values of x, yeah. So let's move the 2 to the other side, it becomes negative 2. Make cos x as the subject, so negative 2/5. So x is going to be cos inverse of negative 2/5. Use your calculator and write your answer correct to one decimal place. So it's going to be 113.6 degrees, right? Now for cos, the second angle is always 360 degrees minus the answer that you obtained. Yeah, if you would like to know what is the value for sine, if you have sine, how would you do? Please look at my playlist. You will find a video tutorial about trigonometry. Have a look at it and make sure that you subscribe the channel and share it with your friends. So the answer for this question is 113.6 degrees and 246.4 degrees. Right? Let's move on to question number 20. A piece of metal has volume 1240 centimeter cube, correct to the nearest 20 centimeter cubes, and the mass of piece of a metal is 7,800 grams, correct to the nearest 100 gram. So we need to calculate the lower bound of density of the metal. Okay. So density is mass over volume. So I'm just going to write that. Density is mass divided by volume. Now if I want the lower bound of density, I need to take lower bound of the mass, divided it by upper bound of the volume. So here the accuracy given to you is 20 centimeter cube. So error is going to be always the accuracy divided by 2. That's for the volume. And for the mass, the error is going to be 100 divided by 2 because it's to the nearest 100 grams, which is going to be 50. So lower bound means I need to subtract. So I'm having the mass 7,800 minus 50 because I'm calculating the lower bound, divided by 1,240 volume plus 10 because I need the upper bound. So this works out to be 7,750 divided by 1,250. Use your calculator. This gives you 6.2 grams per centimeter cube. Sometimes you also have to be careful with the units. Yeah, they might give you in kilograms. So in that case, you need to change or convert between the units. Now question 21. OAB is a triangle. C is the midpoint. If C is the midpoint, if this is M, clearly this is also M. Point E lies on AB such that AE, this way, AE is equal to 4 parts and EB is 5 parts. So this is 4:5, right? Find in terms of M and N the position vector of E. Now, what is meaning of position vector? It means how far it is from the origin. So we need to find OE. So first write down the path that you're going to choose. Somebody would like to go this way. Many others would like to go this way. Yeah. So I'm going to go OA and then AE. I've chosen this path because it's just easy. Because I already know that this is M plus M, which is 2M. I just need to calculate what is AE, right? So this is going to be 2M. Now AE, let's calculate it on the side. AE is basically 4 parts of the total 9 parts. 4 plus 5 is 9. So 4 parts of 9 parts of the total length, which is AE. 4 parts of the total length AB, not AE, AB. So what was AB, the length AB? So AB is going to be minus M plus N. So what is CB? Oh, okay. We don't know what is OB. Okay. All right. So let us work out what is OB first. OB is going to be M plus N, right? So OB is going to be M plus N. Can I just write it over here? OB is going to be M plus n, right? Now we need AB. AB is going to be minus 2m. Why is it minus? Because you're going against the direction of the arrow, plus OB, which is m plus n. So I'm going to just write that over here. AE is going to be equal to 4 over 9 times minus 2m plus m plus n. So 4 over 9 times minus m plus n. So let's substitute that over here. 4 over 9 minus m plus n, and expand the brackets. So this is going to be minus 4 over 9m plus 4 over 9n. Combining the like terms gives me 14 over 9m plus 4 over 9n. That's your final answer. 14 over 9m plus 4 over 9n. Alright. Question 22. The line y equal to 4x plus 12 intersects the curve which is 2x square minus x minus 3 at points P and Q. Find the coordinates of point P and Q. So the points of intersection, basically you need to solve it simultaneously. So you have this one is the linear and this is quadratic. So linear and quadratic equations you solve simultaneously by substitution only. There is no other method. So substitute always the linear in quadratic. Yeah. So here already we know that x is the subject. So I'm going to substitute in place of y 4x plus 12 equal to 2x square minus x minus 3. So simplify that. Bring the terms on one side. So you're going to get 2x square minus x minus 3 minus 4x minus 12 equal to 0. Combine the like terms. So 2x square minus 5x minus 15 equal to 0. Since it says that answer is to be corrected to decimal places, I know that I have to use quadratic formula. Remember, the formula is provided in the formula sheet at the start of the exam. Yeah. Front page, and make sure that you use that. Let us substitute. B is 5 because it is minus here and minus here, so minus into minus becomes plus. 5 plus or minus square root, put a bracket. Important to put a bracket, otherwise you're not going to get the method marks. Times 2 times negative 15 divided by 2 times 2. So x is going to be 4.26 or x is going to be negative 1.76. Now you substitute the x values in y. So this works out to be y is equal to 29.04 or y is equal to 4.96. So we have for x equal to 4.26, y is 29.04 and negative 1.76, 4.96. Remember to give your answers to correct to 3 significant figures, otherwise again you're going to lose some points. Alright. Question 23. The diagram shows a major segment of a circle with center O and radius 2.5. The segment is a cross section of a tunnel with height 3 meters. The length of the tunnel is 800 meters and it has same cross section throughout its length. Calculate the volume of the tunnel. Alright, so I can see that there is a major segment. Okay, so I'm going to think how I'm going to calculate the area of this base. Yeah, because the volume is going to be base area times the length. Right, so I know that the radius is 2.5, so here also it's going to be 2.5, here also it's going to be 2.5. So if I am able to calculate this angle, let's drop a height. If I'm able to calculate this angle, then I would be able to calculate the area of this triangle then I would calculate the area of this remaining sector, add them up to get the area of the base. Alright, so what would be the height? So we know that this total height is 3 and the radius is 2.5. So 2.53 and 2.5. So if you subtract that, it gives you the height as 0.5. So I can write over here that the height is 0.5. So I'm looking at this triangle now. Okay. To find the area of the triangle, I would need the base. Yeah. I have the height, I would just need the base. Or if I can calculate the angle, then I can use half AB sine C. Either way, it is going to be correct. So I'm going to try and calculate what is the base, yeah, or the angle. So I'm going to just go for the angle over here. You could also calculate the base and then use half base times height. I'm going to use the trigonometry formula for the area of triangle. So volume is base area times length, and I'm trying to calculate the base area. So first the angle. So cos of theta is going to be 0.5 divided by 2.5. In SOHCAHTOA, I have the adjacent, this is going to be the opposite, this is the adjacent side, and this is going to be the hypotenuse. So I'm going to use that to calculate theta. Is going to be cos inverse of 0.5 divided by 2.5, which works out to be 78.46. Double that because we are interested in this full angle. Yeah. So this is going to be 2 theta, 2 times 78.46, which is going to be 156.9, correct to 1 decimal place. So area of triangle is going to be half AB sine of the angle that you calculated. In my case, it's 2 theta. So half AB, which is 2.5 times 2.5 times sine of 156.9. So work this out. What does it give you? So this is going to be equal to 0.5 times 2.5 square times sine 156.9. This is going to be 1.226, right? Then we calculate the area sector. The area sector, so we calculated the area of the triangle. We know this angle. To calculate area sector, we would need this angle. This angle is going to be 360 minus the angle that you calculated over here, right? So area sector is going to be theta over 360. So the theta is going to be 360 minus the angle which we calculated previously, which is 156.9. Theta over 360 times pi r square. This works out to be 11.077. So the total base area is going to be 11.077 plus 1.226, which is 12.30. Hence, the volume is going to be the base area times the length, which is 800 meters. So times 800. This is going to be 9,840 meter cube. All right. We're done with this paper. Make sure that you hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so. And see you in the next tutorial. Thank you for watching.